Picture this: the most elegant, refined actors from Bridgerton, draped in their finest Regency attire, gazing into the camera with smoldering intensity, about to whisper the most romantic words you've ever heard. But instead of declaring their undying love or sharing a scandalous secret, they're saying things like, "I need to update my software and the printer is out of ink." Yes, you heard that right. The Bridgerton Season 4 cast is about to make the most boring, everyday phrases sound absolutely irresistible, and honestly, it's the most entertaining thing you'll see all week. Can they really make taking out the trash sound seductive? Let's find out. So here's what's happening today. We've gathered the stunning cast of Bridgerton Season 4, and we've given them a challenge that's equal parts ridiculous and hilarious. These actors spend their days delivering the most romantic, swoon-worthy dialogue on television. They know how to make hearts flutter with just a glance. They've mastered the art of the longing stare, the whispered confession, the dramatic declaration of love. But today we're testing their skills in a whole new way. We've written down some of the most mundane, unsexy, completely ordinary phrases that exist in modern life. Things you say every single day without thinking twice. Things that have absolutely zero romance attached to them whatsoever. And we're asking these talented actors to read them like they're the most seductive lines ever written. They need to channel all that Bridgerton energy, all that period drama intensity, all those smoldering looks and breathy whispers, and direct it toward phrases like the Wi-Fi password is on the router. The rules are simple, but the execution is everything. Each cast member gets a card with a phrase written on it. They can't see it beforehand, so their first reaction is completely genuine. Once they read it, they have to commit fully. No laughing, no breaking character, at least not until after they've delivered the line. They can use eye contact, hand gestures, dramatic pauses, whatever tools they need from their acting arsenal. The goal is to make it sound like this boring, everyday sentence is actually the most important, most romantic thing they've ever said. Think about how your favorite Bridgerton characters deliver their lines. That intensity when they're confessing their feelings. That slow, deliberate way they speak when emotions are running high. That's the energy we need. But for things like grocery shopping and printer maintenance, our first victim, and we say that lovingly, is absolutely ready for this challenge. You can see it in their eyes. They're confident. They've done emotional scenes, dramatic monologues, passionate declarations. How hard could this be? They reach for their card, and the moment they read it, you can see them processing. Their expression shifts from confidence to confusion to okay, I can work with this. The phrase on the card reads, "I need to renew my driver's license now." In real life, this is possibly one of the most tedious, frustrating errands anyone has to deal with. Waiting in line at the DMV, filling out forms, taking a terrible photo that'll haunt you for years. There's nothing remotely romantic about it. But watch what happens next. Our actor takes a deep breath, looks directly into the camera with those practiced Bridgerton eyes, and leans in slightly. Their voice drops to that low, intimate tone that Bridgerton fans know so well. They begin, and there's already a pause that makes it sound important. To renew, another pause, building tension where there should be none. My driver's license. The way they say driver's license sounds like they're confessing a deep secret. Like those words hold the weight of the world. The other cast members watching immediately burst into laughter because it's both completely absurd and somehow actually working. That's the magic of good acting, right? These performers are so skilled at creating emotion and tension that they can make anything sound meaningful. One cast member watching from the side covers their mouth, trying not to laugh. Another one shakes their head in disbelief. Someone in the background says, "Stop it." That actually sounded romantic. And that's exactly what makes this so entertaining. We all know it's silly. They know it's silly. But they're committing to it with the same seriousness they bring to their actual romantic scenes on the show. Asterisk. Now things are about to get even more interesting because we're diving into the world of modern technology. And let me tell you, Nothing screams unsexy quite like tech problems. We've all been there, right? Your phone dies at the worst possible moment. Your laptop decides to update right when you need it most. Or you're staring at a printer that refuses to cooperate. These are the moments that test our patience, not moments that belong in a romantic drama. But the Bridgerton cast, they're about to change that perception completely. What's fascinating is watching them adapt their technique now that they understand the game. They're not nervous anymore. They're competitive. You can see it in the way they're eyeing each other, silently saying anything you can do, I can do better. And honestly, that competitive energy makes everything 10 times more entertaining. Our next cast member steps up with this mischievous smile, like they've already figured out exactly how they're going to approach this. They pull their card and read it silently first, and their eyebrows raise just a little bit. You know that look when someone realizes they've got a tough challenge, but they're excited about it anyway. That's the look. The card says, "My phone needs charging." 4 simple words that we've all said 1,000 times, usually in a panic when we see that battery icon turn red. There's usually frustration attached to this phrase, maybe some mild anxiety about missing messages or losing our connection to the world. Romance, not even close. But watch this transformation. The actor doesn't rush it. They take a moment, adjusting their posture, tilting their head just so. Then they lock eyes with the camera. And suddenly the whole energy in the room shifts. "My phone," they whisper. And the way they emphasize "my" makes it sound possessive, intimate, like they're talking about something precious. Needs, and here comes that classic Bridgerton pause, the kind that happens right before a kiss scene, the kind that makes viewers hold their breath. Charging, the final word is delivered almost like a plea, like they're asking for something much more significant than electricity. The room erupts. The other cast members are losing it because somehow, impossibly, this person just made phone charging sound like a romantic proposition. Someone yells out, "How did you do that?" And another person is genuinely fanning themselves like they actually felt something. The actor breaks character finally, laughing at their own performance, clearly proud of pulling it off. And here's what makes this moment so brilliant. We're all in on the joke together. Nobody actually thinks phone charging is romantic, but for those few seconds, this skilled performer convinced part of our brains otherwise. But we're not done with technology yet. The next phrase is even more challenging, and you can tell because when the card gets revealed, even the person holding it looks skeptical. I have to update my software. If you've ever owned any electronic device, you know this phrase brings feelings of annoyance, not attraction. It means waiting, potentially losing unsaved work, reading through terms and conditions nobody actually reads. It's inconvenient, boring, sometimes frustrating. Making this sound seductive seems genuinely impossible. But impossible isn't in the Bridgerton vocabulary. This actor decides to try a different approach entirely. Instead of the slow, whispered delivery, they go for intensity. They stand up straighter, looking almost tortured by this confession, like carrying this secret has been a burden. Their voice shakes slightly when they begin. "I have to update my software," they declare. And they say it like they're admitting to something scandalous, something they've been hiding, something that changes everything. The tremor in their voice, the pained expression, the way they look away as if ashamed, it's genuinely impressive acting applied to absolutely ridiculous content. What makes it even funnier is that someone off camera responds with "it's okay." We all have to sometimes, treating it like a real confession. And that improvised response sends everyone into another round of laughter. This is the beauty of talented actors just playing and having fun with their craft. They spend so much time being serious and emotional in their actual roles that getting to be silly while still using those same skills is clearly enjoyable for them. You can see them feeding off each other's energy, each performance inspiring the next person to try something different, to push the absurdity further while maintaining that Bridgerton sophistication. Asterisk, all right. So at this point, everyone's warmed up, everyone's comfortable, and everyone thinks they've got this whole make boring things sound sexy concept figured out. They've conquered driver's licenses, they've made technology sound tantalizing, and honestly, the confidence in the room is at an all-time high. But here's the thing about confidence. It's about to be tested in ways nobody saw coming. Because we've been saving the absolute worst phrases for last. We're talking about the kinds of sentences that actively repel romance, the things that make people grimace just thinking about them. These aren't just boring, they're genuinely unpleasant topics that nobody wants to discuss, let alone make sound attractive. So here's where everything goes completely off the rails in the best possible way. Because somebody had the brilliant idea to stop giving the cast pre-written phrases and instead let them create their own challenges for each other. And let me tell you, actors challenging other actors to make unsexy things sound sexy is a whole different level of chaos because now it's personal. Now there's strategy involved. Now people are specifically thinking about what would make their fellow cast members squirm. What would be nearly impossible for them specifically to pull off? The competitive energy that was simmering before is now boiling over. And you can see people rubbing their hands together like cartoon villains planning something devious. What's even better is that nobody's holding back anymore. The politeness and professionalism from earlier has evaporated completely, replaced by the kind of playful ruthlessness that only exists between people who genuinely like each other, but also desperately want to win. The first person to volunteer their own phrase points directly at another cast member with this evil grin and says you have to make this sound romantic. I'm scraping gum off my shoe. The entire room gasps because wow, that's diabolical. That's not just unsexy, that's actively disgusting. We've all experienced that horrible moment when you step in old chewing gum on the sidewalk, that sticky resistance, the gross realization, the awkward scraping against a curb trying to get it off. It's one of life's most annoying little miseries, something that immediately ruins your day and makes you question humanity. The targeted actor's mouth drops open in betrayal, like they can't believe their friend would do this to them. But here's the thing about actors. Especially ones who work together on something as intense as Bridgerton. They rise to challenges, especially when those challenges come from their peers. Backing down isn't an option when your reputation is on the line. So this actor stands up, shakes out their arms like a boxer preparing for a match, rolls their neck, and gets into character. But the character they choose is completely unexpected. Instead of going sultry or dramatic, they go vulnerable and almost childlike, creating this weird innocent quality that makes everything stranger. They look down at their imaginary shoe, then up at the camera with these wide, helpless eyes. I'm scraping gum, they say softly, almost like they're embarrassed. Off my shoe. The emphasis on my shoe comes out possessive and tender, like the shoe is something precious being rescued. It's bizarre, it's uncomfortable. It absolutely should not work. But somehow the sheer commitment and the unexpected emotional angle makes it weirdly captivating. Everyone's reactions are split between impressed and horrified. One person is golf clapping sarcastically. Another is covering their face saying, "I hate that this worked." Someone else is already planning their revenge. You can see the wheels turning. And that revenge comes swift and merciless. The actor who just succeeded immediately turns to someone else and delivers their challenge with zero hesitation. Make this romantic. There's a hair in my food. The collective groan that fills the room tells you everything about how visceral this phrase is. Finding a hair in your food is universally revolting. It instantly kills your appetite, makes you question everything about the meal, sometimes makes you want to leave the restaurant entirely. It's intimate in the worst way. A reminder that strangers prepared your food, and something went wrong in that process. The actor receiving this challenge actually gags slightly, a genuine physical reaction they can't control. They're shaking their head, pacing back and forth, muttering this is impossible. This cannot be done under their breath. But their competitive spirit won't let them quit. They pace for a solid 10 seconds, thinking, strategizing, searching for an angle. Finally, they stop pacing, turn around slowly, and you can see they've found something. Their approach is to make it mysterious, almost paranoid, like they're sharing a conspiracy theory. They lean in close and whisper urgently, "There's a hair." Dramatic pause while their eyes dart around suspiciously. In my food, the way they deliver it sounds less like a complaint and more like they're revealing a clue in a murder mystery. Like this hair is significant evidence of something larger. It's so completely different from every other performance that it catches everyone off guard. The laughter is mixed with genuine confusion because nobody expected that interpretation. Someone asks, wait, was that actually sexy or just weird? And honestly, nobody can agree on the answer. That's when you know things have gone beautifully sideways. The line between success and failure has blurred completely, and now it's just about entertainment value and shocking each other. The challenges keep escalating. Someone throws out my underwear is riding up, which creates immediate chaos because now we're in territory that's both too personal and completely unglamorous. Another person counters with I have a wedgie, which is essentially the same thing, but somehow sounds even worse. Then someone goes nuclear with I need to clip my toenails, and you can actually see one actor refuse. Just straight up say no. I'm not doing that one. Pick something else. The beautiful thing is watching these elegant, sophisticated performers who normally inhabit such refined characters completely abandon all pretense. They're snorting with laughter between attempts, making ridiculous faces at each other, occasionally breaking into the Bridgerton theme song randomly. One person starts doing an exaggerated version of the Bridgerton accent while saying the rubbish bin is overflowing, and it's simultaneously the funniest and most accurate parody of the show. What started as a controlled challenge has devolved into beautiful, unscripted madness where nobody's quite sure what's happening next, but everyone's having the time of their lives. The camera's still rolling, but half the footage is probably unusable because people keep walking in front of it. Or someone's laughing so hard they've collapsed on the floor. Or two cast members are arguing about whether someone's delivery actually counted or if they have to try again. So after all that chaos, all those ridiculous phrases, all the laughter and the absurdity and the moments where dignity went out the window, we've finally reached the end of this wild experiment. And honestly, looking back at what just happened, it's kind of beautiful in a weird way. These incredibly talented actors who spend months perfecting their craft, memorizing pages of eloquent dialogue, embodying complex characters with depth and nuance, just spent the last several minutes making phrases like septic tank and printer maintenance sound romantic. And they didn't just phone it in. They genuinely committed to every single ridiculous moment. That's the mark of real performers right there. People who can find the fun in anything, who can take their serious training and apply it to complete nonsense without losing any of the skill or intensity. You can see it in their faces now, this mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Like they just finished running a marathon, except the marathon was emotional and weird and nobody's quite sure what they just experienced. The best moments flash across the screen now in quick succession. And watching them all together is even funnier than experiencing them individually. There's the dentist appointment delivery with that intense eye contact. The septic tank theatrical performance that should never have worked, but somehow did. Someone's face when they realized they had to talk about gum on their shoe. The genuine confusion about whether hair in food was actually made sexy or just strange. All these tiny moments of brilliance and absurdity compiled together, showing just how far everyone was willing to go for the bit. And here's what's really striking. Every single person succeeded in their own way. Some went for sultry whispers, others chose dramatic intensity, a few picked vulnerability, one person went full comedy. There wasn't one right approach, which is kind of the whole point of acting, isn't it? Taking the same material and finding your own unique interpretation, your own truth within it. But now comes the moment everyone's been waiting for. The question that's been hanging in the air since this whole thing started. Who actually won? Who managed to make the unsexy sound the most seductive? The cast members are looking at each other, trying to remember everyone's performances, debating amongst themselves. Someone argues that the phone charging delivery was the smoothest. Another person insists the septic tank commitment deserves recognition purely for difficulty level. There's a passionate defense of the tax filing performance because of how genuinely sincere it felt. The debate gets surprisingly heated for something that started as a silly game, but that's what happens when you put competitive creative people in a room together. Everyone wants their moment recognized. Everyone has opinions about what worked best. Finally, someone suggests they just call it a tie because honestly, how do you even judge something like this? What's the criteria for successfully making "there's a hair in my food" sound romantic? The group agrees that everyone's a winner, which sounds like a cop-out but genuinely feels true. They all pushed themselves, they all committed fully, they all created moments that were entertaining and memorable and completely unexpected. And really, the audience is the biggest winner here because we got to watch these proper, elegant Bridgerton actors completely let loose and be ridiculous while still showing off their incredible skills.